What if I told you the HOA
Except,
president tried to fine me for the color of
check
my
her stack.
curtains, and I brought her down using nothing but her own rule book? This is the story of how the loudest woman in the neighborhood was silenced, not with shouting, but with the quietest revenge she never saw coming. My name is Kyle Henderson. I'm 35, a systems engineer, a father of two, and, at least on paper, a proud homeowner in Maplewood Estates. But anyone who's lived in a place like this knows the truth. The homes are beautiful, the lawns immaculate, and the neighborhood quiet, but all of it comes at a price. Not the mortgage, not the taxes. The price is the HOA, and at the head of ours stood Claudia Whitmore. Claudia was in her late 50s, always dressed in pastel cardigans with pearls, a bleach blonde bob that never moved out of place, and oversized sunglasses she wore even indoors. To newcomers, she looked harmless, like someone's doting aunt. But to us, she was a tyrant with a clipboard. She patrolled the streets in her golf cart, jotting down infractions with the enthusiasm of a bounty hunter. A trash can left out for 10 minutes too long, $75 fine. A mailbox painted in the wrong shade of white, $150 fine, and if you dared to argue, she doubled it.
Check her stack.
She hated me more than anyone else. Maybe because I didn't play her game. I didn't gossip, I didn't flatter her, and most importantly, I didn't react. When she slapped me with a $200 fine for an unapproved bird feeder, which was really just my daughter's plastic birdhouse painted purple, I just smiled and said, "Have a nice day." When she mailed me a notice claiming my curtains were unacceptable colors, I shrugged and tossed it in a drawer. And when she actually issued me a warning for failure to wave back when she passed in her cart, I bit my tongue and stayed silent. But silence drove Claudia crazy. She thrived on fear and outrage. Most neighbors either yelled or begged, giving her the attention she craved. I gave her nothing, and the more she pushed, the more determined she became to break me. I remember one night she actually stopped her golf cart in front of my house, glaring up at my window like some villain from a low-budget thriller. She muttered loudly enough for my cameras to pick up. "He'll crack eventually. Everyone does." What Claudia didn't know was that silence wasn't weakness. Silence was patience, and patience was my sharpest weapon. She thought I was weak because I stayed quiet. She had no idea I was already building her downfall. Arguing with Claudia was pointless. People had tried, and she always twisted their words until they sounded guilty. Taking her to court, that would take months, maybe years, and cost more than the fines themselves. No, if I wanted to beat her, I had to do it in a way she'd never see coming. So I studied. I downloaded the full Maplewood HOA bylaws, 127 pages of dense legal jargon. I spent nights combing through every clause. And there it was, buried like a diamond. Clause 14, Section 8. Any member may request official mediation if they can provide documented proof of harassment or abuse of power. That was my golden ticket. All I needed was proof. I installed discrete security cameras, tiny ones, barely noticeable. Every time Claudia crept onto my property to measure my grass or tape a violation on my door, the cameras caught her. Every fine I received went into a neatly labeled binder. Every voicemail where she left veiled threats, saved and transcribed. I wasn't just documenting, I was building a fortress of evidence. And then I expanded the net. Quietly, I started asking neighbors if they'd had similar problems. At first, they were hesitant. Claudia had conditioned everyone to stay scared. But once I showed them my stack of letters and video clips, they opened up, and the stories poured out. One dad showed me a $300 fine because his daughter's pink tricycle was obstructing the driveway. A young couple had been cited because their Halloween pumpkins weren't approved colors. Another family had to pay $500 because their Labrador retriever barked too loudly when Claudia passed by. I offered to collect their proof too. Photos, letters, recordings, I took it all. By the end of 3 months, I had a binder so thick it barely closed. My kids joked that I should call it the Claudia Bible. I preferred the Claudia File. Through all of this, I stayed silent. I nodded politely when Claudia wagged her finger. I smiled when she dropped off fines. Sometimes I even thanked her for the reminders. Each reaction, or lack of one, only fueled her belief that I was spineless, and that belief made her reckless. She didn't know that every smug smile, every ridiculous violation, every trespassing step was being recorded. While she thought she was burying me in fines, I was burying her in evidence. PLZ, like and subscribe. Every year, Claudia hosted the HOA Showcase, a meeting where she bragged about her achievements.
Ma'am, we have video evidence right here.
And she loved it. She'd stand at the podium, pastel suit gleaming, pearl necklace glinting, rattling off community improvements like new flower beds or stricter lawn inspections, acting like she was the queen of Maplewood. That night, the community center was packed. Neighbors sat stiffly in folding chairs while Claudia strutted to the microphone. "Under my leadership," she announced, "our neighborhood has thrived. Property values are up, compliance is high, and Maplewood Estates is a model for the state." That's when I stood up, calm, steady, binder in hand. "I'd like to request official mediation," I said, my voice carrying through the room. Claudia froze. She blinked, then sneered. "That is highly inappropriate. Sit down." "Clause 14, Section 8, I replied, opening her own bylaws. "Any member may request mediation if they provide proof of harassment." I walked to the front and dropped my binder on the table. The sound echoed through the hall. Pages spilled out. Photos of fines, letters with her signature, screenshots of her texts, and USB drives full of video clips. I plugged one into the projector.
"You can't prove a thing!"
Suddenly, the screen lit up with footage. Claudia sneaking across lawns
we have
at night,
video
measuring
evidence
grass
right here.
with a ruler, snapping photos of children's bikes, even muttering insults under her breath as she taped citations to doors. Gasps filled the room. Parents whispered angrily. Neighbors exchanged furious looks. Claudia's face turned crimson. I turned back to the crowd. "If Claudia has unfairly targeted you, raise your hand." At first, it was a trickle. 3, 4, 5 hands, then more, dozens, nearly the entire room. People who had lived in fear for years were finally free to speak. The HOA board members shifted nervously in their seats, realizing their queen had lost her crown. Claudia slammed her binder shut. "This is slander!" she shouted, her voice cracking. But it was too late. The vote was swift, loud, and unanimous. Claudia Whitmore was stripped of her presidency effective immediately and barred from holding any position of authority in the HOA ever again. The queen had fallen. Her reign ended not with a bang, but with the weight of her own binder. PLZ, like and subscribe.
Finally, everyone will see what a menace she is.
Not for me. Claudia didn't
Look at
just
those
fine
views
people.
climb.
She humiliated
This is
them,
amazing.
scared their kids, and drained their wallets. She deserved more than a quiet retirement. She deserved to be exposed. So I went home, sat at my computer, and opened my security footage archives. I edited together a video I called the HOA Queen of Maplewood. It showed everything. Claudia peering into windows, measuring lawns with a tape measure at midnight, screaming at a teenager for skateboarding, and muttering, "I'll fine him into bankruptcy," outside my house. I uploaded it online. Within a week, it had 500,000 views. By the second week, local news stations picked it up. Claudia wasn't just Maplewood's nightmare anymore. She was a viral joke. Memes popped up everywhere. Her face photoshopped onto dictators, her golf cart edited into a tank, her pastel cardigans turned into battle armor. But the real blow came when the
Finally,
state
everyone
housing
will
authority
see
saw
what a
the video.
menace she is.
They launched an investigation.
Look at those views climb.
Turns out,
This is amazing.
Claudia had been siphoning HOA funds for years, charging spa retreats as board training, billing her personal Amazon orders as community beautification, even paying her niece's rent under the line item security services. The audit exposed everything. She was forced to pay restitution, fined heavily, and slapped with probation. As for Maplewood, the neighborhood bloomed again. Bird feeders hung freely, kids' bikes decorated driveways, and people actually smiled at HOA meetings. We elected a new board, neighbors who cared about community instead of control. I still live here, cameras still up, not out of fear but as a reminder that silence isn't weakness. Silence is patience, and patience, when wielded at the right time, can topple tyrants louder than any shouting ever could.